I'd like to call this October 6th council work session to order. Before we get started, I'd just like to mention one thing, that everybody knows that October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And we have a councilwoman, Mrs. Cullen, right now who's fighting her battle with breast cancer. We were just informed, and she had her first treatment the other day, so it's going to be hard for her. She's going to attend as many meetings as she can during these treatments. So we're going to, keep her in our prayers, and anybody else that's struggling with the same disease, hopefully everything works out good and she's back here as healthy as could be. But let's keep her in our prayers and remember, and like I said, everybody knows this is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, so get your screenings, do what you have to do, because it is curable if you catch it in time. So
Amen.
let's all keep her in our prayers. Okay, with that, I'm going to open up public participation. So anybody on this side of the room would like to speak, go to the podium and state your name.
Yes, my name is Kevin McCarthy, formerly of 226 Walnut Street. It's my first meeting. I'm a little nervous. I rented a house from Jim Lutz back in May of 2013. Here's the lease agreement. Gave him his $4,200 down, or whatever it was $1,350 a month. There was a punch list that was supposed to be done. All kinds of stuff Mr. Miller wanted fixed, and on top of stuff that I fixed. Like, there's a list. I'll take up the whole meeting if I go through it, but I would like you to look at it. And the main problem is my grandson, he's 2, and my daughter's pregnant, and there is 4 roofs on Mr. Lutz's house. From day one, he signed that he's going to do the punch list. Till tonight, he still has done nothing. I had a mold test done from a state certified lab. I had to throw my furniture out, every clothes out. There's black mold. There's mushrooms growing off the ceiling. Plaster fell. The plaster ceiling fell on my daughter's bedroom. There's pictures of all of it, Mr. DiGiuseppe or any council. Matter of fact, Mr. Gerard, you was over, and you gave him a price. And
No, I did not give him a price.
Okay, well,
I told Mr. Lutz that it's a complicated roof, and that I was not...
I'm just telling you what you told me. You're like, I don't want nothing to do with this. That's a lot. And it is a lot of work. It's all asbestos.
Yeah, it's a younger man's job.
Yeah, and it's just the mold. I'm not an expert in mold, but when it says vacate the premises, means get out of there, I would assume. And he was informed. I gave him cash every month he wanted, gave me a receipt. I brought a few with me. Went in front of Mr. Peranto. He was ordered to do the roof back in October, I guess. Still hasn't done the roof. So now we got another court date to go back in front of Mr. Peranto, and he could explain why he didn't do it. Like the front window, it's a historical house, and you need a pole to hold the window up, and my grandson, being 2, pulled it out and almost took his fingers off. That's how hard it came down. I'm telling you, you've seen the roof, Dave. It's horrible. If you see these pictures, which I would like you to see, he ought to be ashamed of himself to even call. I will never call him Mr. Lutz. He just seen me the other day in St. Anne's, didn't say 2 words. Didn't say 2 words. Then all of a sudden he sends me a certified, we put a letter in his mailbox that we're leaving. 2 days later, I get a certified letter, please vacate the premises by October or whatever. How about police fixing the mold problem from day one? And I never put the money in escrow because I thought he was a friend. I could have called channel 3, 6, 10, 29. I didn't want to bring embarrassment to Bristol. You know what I mean? Fix the problem and that's it. I never even held a month rent from you. I had 10 surgeries in the last 14 months, 15 months, knee surgeries. 2 days late, I was in the hospital, he charged me the $75 fee, or 50. He's no friend to me to let somebody live like that. So if I could let you see these pictures, I would appreciate it if you look at
Let me
them.
just back up a minute, because what I'm trying to understand is, we are aware of the problem, meaning the borough.
Yes, Mr. Miller been out several times because the lady next door, Miss O'Boyle, the smell is so bad of mold that I had to move out, and when my mom's neighbor had passed away, I rented his apartment so my grandson could sleep there with me. My son been to Afghanistan twice, no problems. Comes back home in ICU twice in August with a collapsed lung, 25 years old. Could it be from the black mold? I'm trying to prove that now. But you go by Mr. Lutz's house, it looks like the fifth hole in South Carolina. It's beautiful. But you're letting me live in deplorable conditions. It was horrible, horrible.
But I'm saying, the borough inspector, I'm blown away over this, but
Well,
Betty,
why
I
would you be
think
blown
your
away? Would you-
inspections need, well, I mean, I don't understand how you've been fighting this for over a year, you're living in
Would
these...
you expect something different from Mr. Lutz? I wouldn't. Not at all. And I'll make sure these are blown up, so every time he runs, I'll be out there with these pictures that he should never represent Bristol as long as he lives. That's why I didn't go to the news, to the Courier, because I didn't want to blow this out of proportion, you know what I mean? He's nothing but a slumlord, and when you see the pictures, like, it means nothing to him, but the kids' christening dresses, the boys' christening suits, all molded, all had to be thrown out, everything. Mr. Miller went above and beyond to try to help us.
That's what I'm trying to find out.
Yes, he did.
What's happening when you get into court?
We went to court once, Mr. Miller did. Mr. Pronto ordered him to do the roof. He brought a roofer over, not Mr. Gerard, he didn't have nothing to do with it. He brought a roofer over to say, yes, he was going to do the job. Roofer called me up and said, he's not doing the job, Mr. Lutz isn't doing it. I even got him an estimate for $9,000, and he wasn't doing it. So now he goes back in front of Mr. Pronto on the October 30th. Mr. Miller called me, and he had to explain why you didn't obey a court order to do the roof. I mean, there's holes this big, you could see outside, birds could fly in. It's horrible.
How do we have a house in this kind of condition that it's taken
It's been
this a year?
inspected. It's been inspected.
It's a historical house on
I don't
Walnut
care
Street.
The
what it is.
left-hand side cab, the white
Yes,
house that's
yes,
planned.
yes.
There's a
O'Boyle.
lady used to live next door, Mrs.
I haven't seen her in a month, Miss O'Boyle.
Older, yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
I'm just trying to understand, and I think tomorrow I like some kind of answer from everybody, is how you're living in this house for a year in these conditions in 2014 without getting any satisfaction, no matter who the owner is of this property. I mean,
It could have been anybody. I'm from Bristol. I wouldn't want to bring the embarrassment. I could have called, it was just on 29 News. Landlords letting their tenants live in mold. And when you see the results of the black mold, they say, in their state-certified lab, vacate the premises. And I have a 2-year-old grandson that was sleeping up in the attic.
Kevin, did
And
you
a
vacate
pregnant
it
daughter
now?
now, yes.
Yes.
And he won't give me my security deposit back. But from day one, well, I don't want to go into legal stuff, no, he won't give me it
understand.
back. But I want my money back from day one, plus my security, and all my receipts for furniture, clothes, that had to be all thrown out. It says it here what to do. Just 2 bedrooms it cost me almost $400, is $5,200 just for the rooms. You got to bring in hazmat suits, everything. That's how bad it is. That's how
And you have
bad.
pictures of the mold?
Yes. May I?
Yeah, please. Fellow council members want to say it. I'm just...
This is I'm not a mold expert, but the pictures are after that. Go ahead. Here that starts. that I paid to cut his tree down, never gave me the money back.
This is the house?
Yeah, he was told to do all this. The punch list is there. Mr. Miller gave him what has to be done. He did none of it.
So I think, just, you're one of my constituents, Kev, and I think that if it was a landlord-tenant issue, I'll be honest, we don't get involved. You take that to the district court and you resolve it
Absolutely.
there. However, my concern is with the rental ordinance that we're supposed to ensure to not our tenants, our
The
constituents.
mold that closed, the christening outfits we had thrown out, this is all black mold. Go to the next page, the ceiling fell, and to this day, this is all black mold. That's mold. To this day, he sheetrocked, had a kid put screws in, it's not spackled to this day or painted, left it like
What's
that.
this?
That's mold. That's the basement. That's all black mold. The house should be boarded up. You want to hold on to that?
Yeah, I'd like to let other council members look at it. You guys want to see this?
I do.
Tony, you want to see this?
I would
Yeah,
appreciate
and I'll look at it. To me, I just want to make sure that we're not opening up Pandora's box, that everybody that has an issue is going to,
That's why we're here, Tony.
all right.
Yeah, Mr. Miller.
I know for a fact that he's been complaining
You
for
want
the
to see how
past year.
bad
Like,
this
he's
is? I
reached
never
out.
seen nothing like it.
No, we'll look at it.
If anybody want to see it?
I do.
I'll get it
I
back.
know he's been reaching out to him for the last year. I know he's been complaining about it. And I know John Miller's been out there on several occasions, but I thought by now this is all.
Well, and
kind of
that's our
resolved.
concern, is as council people, I think that we should be more concerned that this has perhaps slipped through the cracks, perhaps not.
This is
But I'd like to
why I-
find out
You're
where
saying
John
that the
Miller is
borough
with
is
this.
doing
That's
their
what I-
job.
Mr. Miller had to be there 10 times, till finally he took Mr. Lutz to court, and Mr. Pronto said, you have 30 days to do the roof, or 90 days, whatever it was probably immediately, 30 days, and he just didn't do the roof. He don't care. And I continued to pay his rent. I thought he was a friend. I could have put it all in escrow.
Should have.
And then he sends me a letter, I had no way to contact you. You don't know where your own house is? You came over every month for the rent. What do you mean you had no way to contact me? Did you bump your head? God forbid, my daughter's pregnant now, if something happens with this baby, she's 6 months, and she stayed in the attic, then she came down, because it smelled. If you go over there, now he got a for sale sign on it. How could he sell it? If it's full of black mold, you're going to pass that on to somebody else?
I was curious, who has it listed?
He has to disclose all that, or he'll have a major problem.
That's why we have to go back to yearly inspections.
And the Echo Tech,
This is beyond inspection.
You're absolutely right,
You
definitely.
can't even imagine what these pictures look
The
like.
only question I had is, how does it get to that point? How does it even get to the point
Well,
where
I
he's
think
able
what
to
he's-
rent it from the beginning?
Well, I think what he's saying, when you moved in,
I agree.
you got a UNO, but there was a small punch list
yes.
that was never completed.
And
John's
he didn't
supposed to go
complete it,
back.
so I completed it.
So you completed the
Yes.
list.
And Mr. Miller came back out, and
To
it
check
was...
that first list.
Yes, and...
And that was done.
Mr.
Then
Lutz...
then after that was done, you created there was a roof issue.
Yeah,
And that's when all the other stuff started.
Yeah, I put kills over it, and it stopped. Till the next rain, then it started. I said, Jim, we got a problem here. There's no gutters, no downspouts. Every time it rained, the basement flooded. I mean, one time it was like 4 feet of water. I had to throw the washer, dryer, everything out. Everything. He just don't care.
Well, and to be fair, just to be fair and to play devil's advocate, a landlord doesn't have to provide gutters or downspouts. I mean, that's...
He
but-
don't have to.
No.
Where's the water go off the roof?
Well, that, if there's water in the basement, then it becomes a problem. But he doesn't have to put, gutters and downspouts. Sometimes it doesn't cause a problem in the basement.
But he has to have it livable. I mean, you can't have people
I would
renting your
think he-
apartment or your house or whatever they're renting
Dave,
and
you're a
living like
roofer.
that,
I mean,
and
that's
nobody
pretty
does
bad.
anything,
Not good. Yeah, like I said, it's very steep, it's got multiple layers, there's nowhere to work, it has no land, the back alley has a big fence, it's hard to get in the back, the side is the neighbor's property, so you'd have to ask permission from the neighbors.
Well, the neighbors can't stop you from working.
But, well, you're in their yard, and...
But I'm saying, you got to be allowed to fix a home. All right. The only thing I can say to you is that, I mean, I know,
I mean, I do have, I'm just not, it's not, Mr. Miller went above and beyond what he could do.
so
It's
we're
in-
doing our job, it's
it's-
up to the court system.
Absolutely. Now it's up to Mr. Peranto, whatever he does. I don't live there no more.
And then it's between you and Mr. Lutz for whatever damages.
Absolutely.
That's a legal issue that you have.
Yes.
I just want to find out from our inspector how a property got in this deplorable condition, that is court hearings being postponed? Because, you know, a lot of, and I'm not saying this in the wrong way, a lot of people know the system. So you have a court hearing, they cancel the hearing, then another 30, 60 days before it's back on.
And that's not the only house he owns that's deplorable, because the guy who put the sheetrock up lives in his house on Cedar Street that he's selling now too. He's getting rid of them all. So,
Does anyone have any questions for Kevin? I'm going to make sure tomorrow.
yeah, Mr. Miller, I was worried about the lady next door with the smell. It was so bad, I haven't seen her. He even got Department of Aging to go over and check on her, make sure she was okay. He got a hold of her family. The borough did more than their job. He's the one didn't do anything. But right by Monroe Street, looks like a golf course out front.
Well, we're going to find out from the inspector what's going on, and I'm just happy to hear that you said the borough's
Yeah,
doing
and it's
their
not
job.
all landlords are like that. I know, I'm speaking for myself, the
No, I
dealing I have
understand.
with Jim. I won't even say Mr. Lutz, because he don't deserve to be called Mister to me.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
We just have a handful of them that think they can
Kevin,
get away
I
with
want
it.
the manager, and I don't know if we can get copies of this stuff. I'm sure, does John have copies of what's in his folder?
I brought the book to him. I'll come pick it up tomorrow if you want to give it back to him, or I'll bring it to court on the 30th when we go.
No, I want to get, I want to find out if we have this stuff on file.
I could bring it back to Borough Hall tomorrow if you want, and leave it with them.
You can leave it here, or we'll get it to you tomorrow.
Okay,
We
you
will
can
not
hold
lose
on
it.
to it. Yeah, please. Because I would, please don't.
We won't lose it, Kevin.
All right, thank you so much, thanks.
All right, Kevin, sorry for
That's all right.
what you're going through. I guess your rental inspection is bad here, but we're on top of this.
I know, but there's just so much of that. I mean, probably not as bad as that, but just so much, so many complaints. And it's true. I mean, how do we get to this point? I mean,
Well,
his first mistake, in my opinion, he should have put the money in escrow. Because now he's gonna have to fight him
He
to
said
get
they
the
were
money.
friends, so.
Well, you know what? With friends like that, you don't need enemies.
Well, I think part of the problem too as a council, and I brought it up, I believe, the last two meetings, we need to come up with a solution.
A
to
better
this problem. It's
solution.
not just overburdening the inspections department with additional inspections. Again, these are the same landlords.
The same
these are
ones.
the same properties. Tony, you know in your ward who they are. It's the same
I
people over, we need to come up with a solution whereby.
They should not be allowed to rent in this town.
Well, you could come up with a solution whereby first offense, okay, we're going to give you a suggestion, a note on your door. Second offense, you're going to get a fine. Third offense, it's got to increase. There's no motivation, and I don't want to name anybody personally. There's no motivation for a landlord to take care of these problems if there's no punishment for this. So I think that, and I brought it up before, I would love to see us as a council unify and work together to come up with some kind of a remedy for, and they're not just rentals,
I-
guys, and you know that too.
I
They're
think we
owner-occupant
have.
homes that have the same
I
problems.
think we have a good system in place. I'm convinced we do. It's the fact that I'm not blaming the court system, but when you're ordered to do something and nobody does it, and then you got to go back to court and back to court, that's where people, towards the end of this, it gets worse. That's where people, I mean, look, I'm not, would you want your kids to live in that house?
Hell no.
Pat, you've seen them pictures. That's pretty bad. I mean, that's deplorable condition. So, I mean, you feel bad for, because the guy's helpless. That's the sad part, and he's
Yeah.
being taken advantage of.
I think Betty's on the right page, and I think everybody else is. We got to get back to this yearly inspection.
I mean, we did work hard to get, when we started,
Yeah.
if it wasn't for the inspections, I would know.
Right.
And I think we had a better grip.
Well, I
on
said right
things.
after the summer, so, we're getting into October, November, we'll start doing the budget and start scheduling some meetings on that, too.
I think Robin's on the right idea there. You got these out-of-town landlords, and some in-town landlords, but let's start getting on them.
Yeah, we gotta change it,
But
you're
can
right.
we got legally, what can we do? That's what we need to talk. I think we need a meeting, Betty, and I agree, just on this. But you can't keep saying out-of-town landlords, because
Any landlord
We have
responsible.
landlords.
Any
right.
landlord, right.
a
Any
landlord that keeps their property in that condition, his rental should be taken away.
Yes.
There's no question in my mind. Nobody should have to live in deplorable conditions like that. Okay, I'm sorry for anybody else on this side of the room would like to speak on anything?
How you doing? My name's Dave Cochran. I'm from Ratcliffe Street, East Ward. I'm not used to public speaking, so
That's
please
okay.
bear with me. My wife and I started a business here about a year or so ago over at the Bristol train station. You are all probably familiar with it. Recently, we had the inspector stop by, and he informed my wife that I could no longer keep my trailer, that I keep my lawn equipment at our business. He said because it was a historic building, we could not do that. Well, my wife informed him that it's not a historic building, there's a lot of history to it, but it's not a historic building in Bristol. And we had permission from our landlord to keep it there, that's where my lawn equipment's at. So, well, then he proceeded to start talking about our trash cans. So we said, all right, Kevin, we'll do a better job of that. Our trash doesn't get picked up till after 6, 7 o'clock at night. Business is already closed. But we'll keep an eye in the mornings and we'll keep it in. Well, about a week or so later, I get a letter from Sally and states we cannot keep our trailer at our business. She stated some other, borough thing that, because it's a commercial business, we cannot keep our trailer there. Okay, I got rid of the trailer. It's no longer there. It makes it a lot harder for me to operate my business, but okay, I understand. I feel like I'm being targeted by our inspector for some reason. I don't know why, but I do feel like I'm being targeted. That area hasn't looked as good as it has now in 40 years. We're doing a hell of a job over there trying to keep it nice. But for some reason, our inspector wants to come and nitpick. I employ 12 people over there. Our landlord's very happy with what we're doing over there. The people in the area are very happy what we're doing over there. But it is what it is, I guess. So now I go by our inspector's business, who's parking vehicles on the sidewalk so people can't walk down the sidewalk. They have to walk in the street, probably the busiest street in the borough. And people have to walk in the street to get around his business. KKK, right over by the gateway to our town. The inspector's business next to it, KKK. That's a whole nother issue, I guess. But he's parking vehicles on the sidewalk, has his dog, we have leash laws, has his dog just roaming around free, that's okay. And he's washing vehicles on the sidewalk. Now, Mr. Dillon, maybe you know it, I'm not sure, but against Pennsylvania DEP laws, for a car wash or a business as he has, cleaning cars, to wash vehicles and let the water go down into the storm drains. Because our storm drains go right to the river. So we have our inspector, about 500 feet from here, every day washing vehicles illegally. But he's going to nitpick me for a trailer that I'm keeping my equipment in, but he's going to break all kinds of state laws, as well as what I would think are borough laws about parking on the sidewalk. I don't understand how we can employ this inspector to come out and chastise everyone else for everything he can find, but he does whatever he wants there. This doesn't make sense to me. Why is he allowed to wash vehicles? Why is he allowed to park on the sidewalk? Everybody sees him. No, I'm not the only one. I know I'm not. Mr. Turnell, Mr. Rodriguez, he's your ward. I'm sure you see him do it all the time, right?
He's been doing it, yes.
Why is he allowed?
Um,
Why is our inspector permitting this?
Well,
I've heard
let me
other
just
people
ask
come
you a
here.
question.
40 years he's been doing
Yeah,
it.
he's,
Well, why?
Before we
Well,
got
why?
here.
Then
Yeah,
why
way
can't I
before we
park
got
my
here.
trailer then?
Let me just answer some of your questions. First,
Okay.
I don't know
it's a different issue.
I don't know if he's allowed to wash cars or not. That's not up to me to determine. If you're saying
Exactly.
there's a law against that, I'm sure if you contact the borough inspector, he'll look into it to find out if it's legal or illegal. I don't know.
All right, well, let me take it one step farther for you.
All right.
The DEP stopped at his business
Right.
and told him he can't do it.
Well, then he's not going to be able to do it. if
But
they
he's still
stop.
doing it. He's still
Well, then
doing
he's
it.
going to be dealing with the DEP's a lot worse than dealing with Bristol
Okay,
Borough.
but he's our borough inspector here.
But how do you know that?
How do I know
mean,
he's the
did you-
inspector?
No, the DEP. We don't know that, so how do you know? Did you call them?
I did.
Okay, so they reported to you and said he's not allowed to do that? Because nobody's reported it
Dave,
to
all I can
us.
tell you is if the DEP told him to
Okay.
cease, he's going to cease or he's going to have big
Mm-hmm.
problems with the DEP.
Okay, well, Mr.
That's
Dillon,
even a
you're in
borough.
charge of inspections, I think, right?
Pardon me?
Mr. Dillon's in charge of inspections, I believe, right?
Well, Mr. Dillon runs the borough.
Okay, well, I mean, isn't it common sense that a car cleaning business shouldn't
Look,
be?
Dave, he's been there for 30 years. We don't know if it's legal or illegal. It's been there way before this
Way
council
before
ever
we got
sat in
here.
these seats.
All right,
So
but-
you're saying tonight that it's illegal. I'm not disputing that with you. You're saying you talked to the DEP, that you called the DEP on him, and they're telling you that they told him to cease immediately from washing cars. If they did that, I think Mr. Brannigan should be smart enough to stop, or he's going to be facing fines with the DEP. We're going to be the least of his worries.
Okay, but then my,
That's the one issue.
okay.
The other issue is he parking his private vehicle or the borough vehicle on the sidewalk?
He's parking his private, he's parking the borough vehicle, and he's parking customers. He's washing
Okay,
them.
let me back up. I don't want to keep interrupting you.
Okay,
Please have Mr. Brannigan tomorrow notified, do not park a borough official car on the sidewalk. Does council agree with that?
Absolutely.
If there's any other vehicle that's parked out there, that's up to the police department to cite him, Pat. You handle that however you want.
I believe he was cited
You're getting a
before, too.
complaint from Mr. Cochran, notify the police department if you want. If there's a car on the sidewalk, let them handle it however they see fit. So we just dealt with two of your problems, one with the DEP, washing cars. The borough car will not be on that sidewalk again. Council's sending him a note tomorrow. And as far as his personal vehicles that he's parking on the sidewalk, that's up to the mayor, the chief, and the police department.
But Mr. Di Giuseppe, isn't
Yeah.
it, I mean, he represents us, the council. This council is the one that hired him. And
Right.
just to say that he can only not park his,
Tony, I can't tell you tonight when you go home not to park near a stop sign.
I'll tell you right now, if you were in charge of hiring me, I'm just saying, if you were in charge of hiring me, you said, Tone, listen, we put you in that position, and we took a lot of flack.
Do we want him
We're
not to
putting you in that
park there?
position.
Absolutely not.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. We have the ability, let him know, we don't want you parking any cars there, because nobody else in the
That's
borough
what
can
he
do
just
it.
said we're doing.
No, that's not what we said. We said we're going to tell him that he can't park his borough car there.
Especially the
You
borough
can't,
vehicle.
you can't tell him what else he does with his
With his
private life.
personal
or his
life,
private
no, you
car,
can't. You
because that's
can't
a
tell
police
somebody.
issue.
It-
I can't tell you you're not allowed to park near a stop sign. That's a police
Whether
issue.
you
All right,
work
if you hire somebody.
No, this has
No,
nothing to do with
Guys, that's it.
It's tax
That's
people's
it.
money.
It has nothing to do with
Yeah,
that.
Dave.
okay, well, it's my feeling is he does represent the town. He is our inspector. And to me, he's acting like the borough Gestapo, because he can do whatever he wants, and he does, but he's going to nitpick everybody else. To nitpick my business Because I have a trailer on my parking lot
I
with
don't
my
want to get into
equipment.
that, but I think Mr. Brannigan may be right on that because you can't run two businesses out of one.
I'm not running two businesses.
Well, if you're parking equipment,
My equipment...
that's like me coming
No,
home with
let me explain, no.
trucks and trailers and putting them on the
No,
street.
sir, no, sir, let me explain to you. My equipment that I'm keeping in there is for the daycare. I cut the grass there. It's my equipment to cut the grass at that place.
And that's all it's used for.
That's all. I don't have a lawn cutting
Was that
equipment.
explained to the borough?
I certainly did.
No, you know what, let's talk about what's really going on here, all right?
Okay.
All zoning matters go to the zoning officer.
Right.
Let me finish.
Go ahead.
Mr. Brannigan, Mr. Miller do not make zoning decisions. When our zoning officer receives a complaint, no matter from whom, she has to make a zoning review. So she was advised that that trailer's in the parking lot. She sent you a zoning letter that says it shouldn't be there, and I'm sure she attached the section of the ordinance, which she always does. I don't remember if I saw that letter, I don't see them all, but she's always 99% correct. The point is, that was her decision. You had a right to appeal that to zoning. You chose not to. This was not Mr. Brannigan's decision to decide you couldn't have the trailer there. It's not his decision.
It was
It's the
Mr.
No, it's not. He may have brought it to the
No,
zoning.
you're not letting me finish. I'm not saying it
I'm
was his
not
decision.
done, okay? I'm
Okay.
trying to explain the process.
Go ahead.
When it comes to the zoning officer's decision, she makes the decision. She sent you the decision, you had a right to appeal, which you chose not to. It was not Mr. Brannigan's decision in the end. He may have brought it to her, but it's not his decision, okay? And I'm going to tell you what, we have a very strict policy about trailers in parking lots, in front of houses, in yards, etc. And we enforce that against everybody. So my guess is she was correct, and if you thought she wasn't, you could have appealed it, okay? But this is
Right.
not about Mr. Brannigan picking on you.
Well, it is.
Because it wasn't his decision.
Okay.
And if he was wrong, then the zoning officer would have said he was wrong, okay? But it's
Okay.
her decision, and she's very professional at what she does, and she is very good at what she does.
Yeah.
Okay, well, Mr. Brannigan definitely initiated it. It may have been Sally's decision, that's fine, all right? But she also told me I could take that trailer to my house, and I can keep it at my house. I just can't keep it there. So when you're saying we have strict laws about homes and businesses, they're different. They are different.
They are different.
All right, so I can take the trailer to my house and keep it, but I can't keep it a few
You could
blocks
probably
at the
keep it
business where I
attached-
need it.
You could probably keep it attached to your vehicle too.
Yeah, well, I don't want to drive
But
around
I'm
with
just
trailer.
saying, you probably could do that too.
Yeah, I could.
Not on the street, though, you can't. Can't keep
What
it.
else you have?
Dave, let me add something, you don't mind.
Danny, wait, I'm running the meeting.
Okay,
I'm running the meeting.
well,
When
this
he's
is what
done,
you have
I'm
to
gonna
do, ready?
come to
Listen,
you.
listen to me.
I seen your
This is what
hand.
you have to do, ready? I know you like to hit the hammer.
Dave,
You have to be that way with everybody, not
I'm
just
gonna
me. If
come
somebody
to
else
you.
chimes in,
I'm gonna come to you.
shut them down.
Tony, he's the
Chimes in,
president.
shut them
He's the
down.
president. He
That's
runs
all,
the
it
meeting.
doesn't matter who's the
He
president.
does me.
No, it doesn't. That means you get to
Danny.
chime in whatever you
Danny,
want.
it
It does, there you go.
Yes.
You gonna knock it off?
All I'm saying is, I'm gonna make it very clear.
I'm
to
gonna ask you
You're
one
gonna
more
answer the
time.
question.
You gonna knock it off?
Listen to me. Are you gonna answer the question or not? Go ahead. Call somebody to come up here.
I'm gonna have
Because
you
you can't
remove-
handle,
Oh, I
because
can
you
handle
can't run the meeting
you,
the
Mal,
right way.
I'm gonna have you
That's why,
remove.
you can't run the meeting the right way.
Give me a recess.
It's everybody has to be,
No, all right, I want to reconvene this meeting. We left off with Mr. Cochran speaking at the podium. You want to finish, Mr. Cochran?
Yeah, just to finish up, Ms. Rodriguez asked me why I didn't come to the council before I went to the DEP while we were on recess. I don't know all the laws either, just like you said, you don't know the laws. In order for me to find out, I have to call the DEP. So when I called the DEP, okay, when I called the DEP, I had to give them the information so they could look into it for me to see what the laws were. Like you said, it's not a council problem, it's state. So why Ms. Rodriguez thinks I should have come to the council before that, I don't know.
I just
But-
suggested that you
okay,
could
but-
have.
well,
Okay, Dave? That's
in
all I
order for me
said.
to clarify-
We didn't hear any of this till now.
Well, you've heard other things.
Now, this.
Yeah,
Well, we're
yeah.
talking about you, you're here, not anybody else,
Well,
right?
You just said we never heard anything.
All right, guys.
But you have.
Yeah,
Betty,
whatever, Dave.
Betty,
We're rolling.
Betty.
I'm just clarifying why I called then, rather than coming here.
That is your prerogative. You made a decision, that's your decision, and like I said earlier, I'm sure that if you turn Mr. Brannigan in, whatever happens, he understands the law. So,
Okay.
the only thing I was trying to get at is about the borough car. We cannot tell people what to do with their private vehicles. That's a police matter.
I understand.
Whether they work for the borough, the school district, or whoever.
Right, but
Government.
he is representing the
I
borough.
understand that. Look, we have family members, we have wives, you have I mean, we can't be responsible for what happens to somebody in our family. So, I mean, is it a reflection on us? Absolutely.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It is a reflection. I hate to see what happens when Congressman Fitzpatrick finds out our inspector's been dumping into the river. As we're trying to put docks in, and as we're claiming this river is a vital part to our community. But it's okay for our inspector to nitpick other businesses, it's okay for him to dump into it.
Is that it?
That's all I have.
Well, while you're there, I know Mr. Devine wanted to ask you a question, or whoever, so, Tony.
Well, I guess the question really wasn't a question, just the follow-up is I think what Mr. Cochran's saying, and everybody, not everybody, but most of the people in council are missing the point. We can't tell Mr. Brannigan where to park his personal car, I understand that. But he's representing us, we are the ones who hired him. So it'd be very simple. Mr. Brannigan, do not park any vehicles on the sidewalk. If you do, that is going to be cause, if you want to keep this job, this is going to be cause of you not having that job anymore. It's very simple. That's all you have to do, and it changes the behavior immediately. And then we don't have these types of concerns, because then everybody's being treated fairly. He's an inspector, and I wasn't a big fan of making him the inspector, but he is the inspector. And if there's things that he's doing, he has to follow the same rules that he enforces on other people. It's very simple. People do not like hypocrisy. And the reason I get so frustrated is because of hypocrisy. And that right there is a perfect example of somebody using their power, doing what they want, while the regular citizens can't have the same ability to do what they want. So that's the last thing I want to say.
Thank you.
Merle? You want to?
I just wanted to clarify, he said about washing the cars and the water going in. Does this apply to all the residents also?
No. If you're asking me?
Yeah.
No, it doesn't. It's only commercial businesses.
Why?
Guys, I run the meeting, okay? Merle's talking. Merle, when you're done, I'll recognize anybody else in the room.
I just can't understand why.
I don't understand it either.
One and not the other.
He's not doing motors and things like that, but if that's the DEP, that's not, I don't know if that's something the borough controls or that's why I can't give you that answer. You brought it up tonight. I'm sure the manager will look into it. I'm sure the manager's going to speak to Mr. Brannigan tomorrow about parking on the sidewalk again. So, I mean, it's just like anything else. You call your employee in, and you say X, Y, Z. What's happening tonight to me is an embarrassment to this town, but that's fine. Anybody else on this side of the room? Kevin, I'm sorry.
I just have one thing. When I went outside, my lawyer called and told me don't leave that book here, to bring it back tomorrow.
That's fine.
There's rent receipts, there's the only mold pictures I have and reports and... Thank you. Good thing I didn't make it home. Thanks.
Anybody else on this side? Mr., state your name, go to the podium, please.
My name's Kevin Brannigan Jr. First of all, I'd like to state, number one, that the property out front of my father's garage is an apron. We've been parking out there for 35 years, doing the job. Been doing a job out there for 35 years. My father's been a businessman and a taxpayer in this town his whole entire life. I'm really getting tired of people slandering my father for the amazing job that this man does as an inspector. That's number one. And number two, with all this Mr. Cochran stuff going on, to let you know, the people of the borough to know, and Mr. Cochran, every material that we use in that garage is biodegradable. Everything we use is biodegradable. It's either a citrus blend or a vinegar blend. Anything that's coming off or going into the street where there is no drain is all biodegradable. It's all detergents. There's nothing going into the river. The company that we get our supplies from don't sell chemicals. It's all biodegradable stuff. And now it's starting to affect me. That's my bread and butter over there. That's how I'm surviving right now. I got a job to do every day, just like everybody else here. I get up every morning, I'm at that garage, open up every morning at 8:30, and I take what comes in. I got people coming by, taking pictures of me. I got people calling me on the phone, busting my chops on the phone, asking me all these crazy questions, and I'm kind of getting tired of it. I just wanted to state that. I'm here to stick up for my father. That's why I'm here, and my business, and my bread and butter. Because as of right now, he's not doing it. He's got enough going on with his inspection jobs. So I'm running that shop. That shop's mine. So no longer does anybody have to sit here and slander him about Clean Cars by Kevin, because my name's Kevin too, and I'm running that business. I just wanted to clarify that with everybody.
The only thing I could say, Kevin, I doubt very much if you're using them kind of products, if the DEP is going to shut that place down.
What do you mean?
I'd be surprised if you're not allowed to continue what you're doing.
Well, no, we're not shut down. Nobody said we were shut down. Nobody said we couldn't continue to work. They came over, they asked a few questions, the questions were answered accordingly. No one said we couldn't work. And even if I was told I couldn't work, nobody's telling me I can't work. I'm an American. I'm a taxpayer. I got a mortgage to pay. I got taxes due soon. I got a business to run. You know what I mean? I'm lucky if I'm doing 3 to 4 cars a week. I'm lucky if I'm even making a mess. You know what I mean? I'm just playing it by ear right now, taking care of my regulars. There's nothing going. I can see if I was doing 5, 6 cars a day there, running in and out constantly, but I'm struggling just like everybody else.
I hear you.
So, to see me out there washing a car, I'm washing a car for $25. I'm not out there making $1 million. I'm not using any chemical that's going to destroy anything. You see all the foliage around the garage. You see stuff growing around the garage, right? All the weeds. There's nothing out there going to kill anything. I just want to clarify that with everyone.
And you do a good job.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, counsel. Appreciate your time.
Anybody else on this side of the room want to speak on anything? Anybody on this side of the room want to speak on anything?
Mr. President, Vice President, Mr. Mayor, ladies and gentlemen of council, my name's Art Younglove. I'm a resident of 13 Roslyn Drive, Delran, New Jersey. I was born and raised in Bristol Borough. As a teenager, I was a member of the Robert W. Bracken American Legion Drum and Bugle Corps. I spent 5 years in the Corps from 55 to 60. During that time, we became state champions. We went to Miami. We were second runner-up. We were runner-up in the national competition in Miami. Pardon?
Joe, make sure somebody's walking out. I don't want any problems out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
As the noise starts to get higher. In other words, babysit.
Yeah, Mr. Younglove, I'm sorry.
I went into the service, came back to Bristol Borough, became director of the same organization, recruited nearly 200 boys and girls from Bristol and different communities around the area to become part of the organization. During that time, we became Eastern States champions. It's the first and oldest drum and bugle corps in the United States, organized in January 1924. This year happens to be the 90th anniversary of that organization. Because of that and my background in that group, I asked Mr. Joseph Segola to render a watercolor painting of all the uniforms that were worn by the boys and girls in that organization from 1924 to the present time. I have the painting here. I'd like to present it to the borough. I'd like it found in a prominent place, possibly in Borough Hall, so that the people of Bristol who have gone through the ranks, and there have been thousands over the years, be able to look at it and have fond memories. I'd like to show it to you if I could.
Can you put it
You
up
want to
right
put it
here,
up on the
back
east?
here?
Is it heavy?
It's pretty big.
Oh, it's big.
It's kind of light, but it's very very proud of it. A lot of history in this organization.
Bert Adamson's picture in there somewhere? Bert Adamson.
No. I will tell you that the woman on the end in the blue uniform is Mrs. Josephine Durham. She was our chaperone for probably 30, 40 years. Marched in every parade we went in, 4th of July, competitions all over the East Coast. A great woman.
It's beautiful. Tell me again what it represents, like how old is it, and so it's Joseph Ola painted it and out of...
Painting is just recently done.
Okay, so, but it looks like it's a depiction of something older, like are those original uniforms, or?
As I said, the organization was organized in 1924, so the uniforms go back all the way to 1924 through the current time.
Okay.
This black uniform is what the adults who used to be part of it are now wearing.
Right, that I recognized.
The only thing I can say to you, Mr. Young, if you want to leave it here,
I will leave it here.
we'll try to figure something out. I mean, if we can't figure a place to put it in the borough, we'll call you. The problem is, we get calls every day, people say, can you hang this picture, can you hang this picture? And
And it's
before you
big.
know it, there's no room for pictures.
How about right in front of your podium? Well, anyway, I'll leave
If
it
you want to leave it,
with the hope that
I mean, look,
obviously people in the borough are going to have more of an access to it in this building than any other.
That's
So
fine.
that's my hope.
Well, we appreciate it. Like I said, we'll try to find a place for it, or somewhere, I don't know. Merle will look around, or
I'll leave it
fire
right
into Aaron's Fox, I don't know.
My father was a drum
Bracket.
major and a drummer and had a musician.
Oh, yeah. Right, and I don't know if you're related to Bobby Sabatini, or, yeah, he was in the Corps when I was in it back in the 50s.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very
Great
much.
gesture.
Thanks, Art.
Anybody else on this side of the room like to speak? Mr. Young, could you give us, I want to keep this meeting, you got somebody coming to the podium.
Thanks, Art.
Jim Lutz, Monroe Street. I was home watching the meeting, and I
Right over.
couldn't believe what I was hearing.
Fine, over.
And that's okay. That's okay. And I understand your concern. I'm here, and I came here tonight to let this council know, and especially the West Ward councilman, I am available anytime tomorrow to give you a personal tour of 226 Walnut Street. I'll be happy to take you through it. I'll be happy to show you all the concerns that my former tenant had. He said some very derogatory, defaming things about me and my character. I'm not going to take it. If you're concerned, I know, Betty, you're concerned?
I'm concerned, but
Okay.
Jimmy, I think at this point it's probably up to the court to,
Do
you know.
you want to walk through it tomorrow?
Take Toronto through it when you go on the road.
I'm asking you a question, Betty.
If you'd like me to, I don't
Sure,
have a
I
problem,
would
but
like
I
you to
don't
go
know,
through it.
if I don't know if
I would like you
legally
to go
there's
through
anything
it.
I can do.
Well, you made some
At this
comments
point.
too, Betty. I want to.
Oh, yeah, you look at the pictures, maybe
well,
you made some comments too.
I'm going to ease your mind tomorrow. And I invite the press too. Liz, if you'd like to come, you're more than welcome. Give me a time, Betty. I'll be happy to meet you there.
Sure.
Well,
I'm bringing Frank too, okay?
okay?
The problem I have, Jimmy, with the whole situation is that he states that in court you had to fix the roof or replace the roof. Has it been done?
Okay. Listen.
I'm just asking.
I'm not going to get into the legal.
I'm a new person, I'm asking.
I am not going to get into the legal
then-
ramifications. You have
I'm
minutes. If
asking.
you read your minutes, you'll see that I approached the Hart Board several months ago for approval for a new roof.
Okay.
Is that in your minutes? Yes, it is.
Oh, is
You
it?
got to read it, Betty.
Okay,
Gotta read it.
but we're still going back to court.
What time do you want to meet me tomorrow?
I'll let you know.
It's not a good answer, Betty.
No, that's my answer, whether you like it or not.
Okay.
Okay?
Anybody else want to go through it tomorrow? I'll be happy to take you through. Press?
I think, Mr. Lutz, if you see the pictures that
Yeah,
Kevin...
like coming down on us like a
You don't have to
football.
see pictures. You're going to see firsthand.
How
I'm going to
nice it
take you
is.
through. Ralph, you can come.
I'm not being a witness for anybody, Jim, you're not setting me up.
I want to take you through and show you the property.
I have a suggestion, just take John Miller through. Take John Miller through, he'll tell us it's up to code, and that's it, right? There you
I
go.
came down here for nothing, right?
Yeah. What else you got?
we can come after you, he did. I mean,
Oh, he
has
came
to-
back for me.
I mean, he,
How did he know I was here, buddy?
who you talking about?
How did Mr. McCarthy know I was coming?
I'm talking about when he first got here, Jimmy.
Oh, okay.
But that's okay, you can come down on me if you
Does
want.
anybody
I
want to
don't
go
do
through the house
anything.
tomorrow?
All right,
I don't
come
rent
on,
houses
guys.
like that.
Jimmy, what else you got? Is that it?
No, get real.
Anybody else on this side of the room want to speak?
Close it down, hurry up,
That's it?
shut it down.
That ends public participation. Okay. No fire chief, he left.
She's left.
No police chief. Pat, what do you got, anything for us?
Yes, Mr. President, just a little proclamation I'd like to read here, please. The 2014 Fire Prevention Week theme, Working Smoke Alarms Saves Lives, Test Yours every month, effectively serves to remind us that we need working smoke alarms to give us time to get out safely. As the mayor of Borough, Bristol, excuse my throat, I, Patrick Sabatini, hereby proclaim October 5th through the 11th of 2014 as Fire Prevention Week throughout the borough of Bristol, and I urge all the people of Bristol Borough to test their smoke alarms at least every month by pushing the test button, and to support the many public safety activities and efforts of the Bristol Borough Fire and Emergency Services during this Prevention Week, 2014. Also, I'd like to make a statement about the playground. What I seen at the playground gave me goosebumps. It was really great to see a playground put up in one day. And I'd like to send my thanks out to Pico, all the volunteers that came in, all Bristolians. Pico had 120 people there. It was really a great day. Also want to thank the Bucks County Rescue Squad for being there, and Fire Company number 51, who was there with water all day long, and of course Merrill Winslow, our Emergency Management Director, who was there the whole time. It was a great day, it was a great event.
Two girls, Beth Ann and Rochelle, Kathleen did an outstanding job writing that grant, getting the money for the playground, and they deserve a lot of credit.
They absolutely do. I'm thinking about possibly bringing them in next week. I'll talk to Mr. Dillon and you later.
Anything else, Pat?
That's it.
Yeah, I just have one, well, two more things. On 160, right across the street from 162 Otter Street, there's a manhole that's sinking. I don't, know why that happens, but,
Is that on the new road?
yeah. And on another note, I definitely want to get back to doing yearly inspections, because someone comes in here and accuses somebody of being a slum landlord, and then someone else shows up and says, do you want to go see? As a, healthcare worker, my main concern was the mold. Not the roof, not the walls, not whatever, the mold. If there's mold there, it shouldn't be there. I mean, he has all this documentation. It's not my fault. I didn't do it. I didn't come here to complain about it.
I guess we're
So
gonna
I don't need to go see it, because it just needs to be rectified.
I guess we'll find out when it goes to court.
Exactly. October 30th. Thank you.
Dave?
Yes, thank you. To the North Ward residents, Tony and myself were aware of the incidents on Pine Street. We have had meetings with the mayor, the chief, and fellow neighbors, and we were assured that they're going to do everything to their best efforts to make sure that we're protected. To Garden Street, looks great, except for that ugly fence that Amtrak put up. I wish to thank the residents for cleaning up that area. It looks great. I had a meeting with 3 Amtrak officials outside my house. It was like talking to a wall. I live next to the railroad, if anybody's interested in knowing that. They are now installing fences on our side of the railroad. When I asked what they were doing next to my house, basically they said anything they want since they own the land. I asked why they have not shoveled the snow or cut the grass in 25 years, and they said it was not their concern. When I asked who was going to maintain the property after they locked me out of it, they said it was not their concern. When I asked them how harmful the spray they were using was, they assured me it would not hurt me. I asked them to bring their grandchildren down here to play in the sprayed areas, and they all said that was not a good idea and they wouldn't do that. Then one of them said that he had not grown a third arm yet, and all three of them had a good laugh. Then they said I should go to the local officials for help. I informed them that I was a local official, and again, they all had a good laugh. That same week, while I was getting supplies behind the Amish store on Green Lane, I noticed that Amtrak's activities. My friend who works for the suppliers informed me that Amtrak was using this area as a staging area to build track sections for Princeton, New Jersey. When I asked why they didn't build the tracks in Princeton, I was informed that in Princeton, Amtrak is not allowed to work after 10 p.m. When I asked an Amtrak employee about this, he stated that this was true, and indeed, Amtrak has restrictions in areas like Princeton, Villanova, and parts of Maryland. Amtrak, it seems, can be restricted in affluent communities, but apparently not in Bristol Borough. Thank you.
So I guess you realize how tough it is to
Yeah,
deal with
it's
these people.
difficult.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, Ralph, I felt like jumping off my porch. It was like talking to the wall of these
Wasn't
people.
it? They're horrible.
We had problems with what you're saying in Harriman, and it's just constant from 10 o'clock on. Merle's been involved for 2 years or more. We're constantly on the phone. The kids can't sleep at night. Boxcars banging, building tracks.
You gotta watch, Ralph, I think it's gonna get worse.
It is.
From what I'm hearing.
Now they're on the lumberman side.
And me and Mr. Winslow were talking, Merle has one side of the story, but I get a different side of the story where they're actually going to be, my friend just said they put 3 new transformers up there to power something up big time. So I think they're going to be working, but it'd be interesting to find out what Amtrak's saying to Merle and what my friends are saying to me.
Like you said about the fentanyl, they don't care.
No, they don't.
They don't care how it's maintained. They don't want you to touch it's their property.
That's what they said, it's our property.
That's why the Garden Street thing is such a major problem for us.
Right.
Tony, what do you have?
I guess the first thing I want to do now that I have a chance to kind of have the floor is, I want the people of Borough and people in the audience to know it's not my goal to disrupt the meeting or to make it go in a certain direction. All I want to do is, as a teacher, whether I like a kid or don't like a kid, I always treat every kid fairly, right? So the same sense of when I'm running my classroom is the same way I expect to be treated by our council president. That's if there are rules that are set, I have no problem following the rules. I just want to make sure that everybody has to follow the same rules. Not pick and choose when someone can talk and have to shut me down because of whatever reason he feels, he doesn't like to hear my voice. So with that stated, I just want to put it on the record that make sure that, Mr. President, when you are interrupting or when you feel I'm interrupting the meeting, that you are treating every councilman, members of the audience, all the same way. That's the only thing I want to say about that. The next issues you have to deal with the North Ward. The first thing is, I guess Mr. Dillon, you could help me out with this since the chief isn't here. On 4th Avenue, there's a yellow line that extends, I guess on the east side, the left-hand side on 4th Avenue, that the yellow just goes out too far and it's taking up valuable parking spots. So if we could somehow, one of the residents on 4th Avenue told me it was put there because there was like a mail drop or something there for that business that's no longer needed. So, if we could get somebody out there, just to, maybe the chief to measure, just to make sure, I don't want to be taking up valuable parking spots if we can help it. The next issue, I guess, I will wait for the chief to come back so I can ask him a couple questions.
Tony, we're out on Fourth Avenue.
When you come off of Beaver Street, make a left onto Fourth Avenue, it'll be on the left-hand side.
There off of Beaver.
Yep. What else do we have? Oh, I guess there were some issues that we have coming up that we didn't really have a chance to discuss, but I don't know if anybody's aware, but we are going to purchase 1031 Elm Street, which is the street I grew up in, I'm going to miss the street. I love that street, but I don't know how many houses that we are down to now. Mr. Dillon, do you know how many houses are left on Elm Street?
Assuming council goes through with 1031 purchase, Elm, the borough will own 18 properties. There's one rental property left and 3 owner-occupied units left.
On Elm
So I
Street?
guess
On
there's...
Elm?
I don't think there's that many.
I think
Talking
it's all
Elm
the way
and Chestnut.
around.
Oh,
On Elm, well,
If I could find it.
I think there's 2 or 3.
Is there 2 or 3? And the reason I'm asking is only because moving forward, I don't want to be against it because, you know, for sentimental reasons, and I wouldn't be. The only issue that I have is moving forward, the plan. I don't want to continue to spend taxpayers' money to buy these properties and lose the tax base. Number one, we're paying for these properties and just kind of holding them until we have them all, I guess, to knock them down. So, and there's no real timeline on that. I want to make sure that we have some type of timeline of when we plan on being able to purchase the rest of these houses. And if we're not going to be able to, I would hope that, you know, we could, number one, not make those people feel like they live in North Philadelphia. Because I drove by there and it's just, I'm seeing no trespassing signs stamped on all the doors. They're boarded up. And as bad as the houses are, and they are in bad shape, and, you know, they probably need to be, you know, knocked down eventually. But it's no reason that people need to live that way. I mean, if it was any of our houses, even where I live now, if the next door neighbor got their house boarded up and no trespassing signs and everything was put on there, it takes away from the beauty of where you're at and also the value of your house. So, I mean, I would like on that, on the agenda, for it to read that there's a timeline there. That, you know, and I know that's going to be difficult to do, but I think that we need to, especially in the, coming up with the budget and the financial concerns that we have moving forward, you know, we can't just keep buying houses and holding and losing that tax base. So, I mean, if we could get some type of timeline.
But can I just ask you a
Sure.
question?
Yeah.
I think when we started this back 10, 12, Mr. Lutz was even in council, and I'll use his expression, he said it's a cancer, we need to take these houses out. But we made a commitment that we all have friends there, and especially one of the families that is still there.
Absolutely.
We would never force anybody out of their home that lived there their whole life. So there is no timeline as far as doing anything until, if they want to live there another 50 years, as far as I'm concerned, that's up to them. We're never going to, I'm only speaking for me, force anybody out of their home on either street. We don't approach anybody. Most of the people approach the borough.
Right.
When they want to sell a home, they say, do you want to buy it? We have it appraised. We're only allowed to pay the appraised value of the property, just like if one of your family members we bought a home off of on Elm Street.
2 of them, yeah.
2 of them, but we're not forcing, so when you say time frame, I don't think we will ever I will never put a time frame on forcing somebody out. Second of all, I don't think we have a plan. And maybe this council won't be the council that's going to do something with it. So I don't know, I can't speak what's going to happen in the next 5 or 10 years from now, I know probably none of us will be here in the next 5 or 10 years, but what we're trying to, I think the plan was, we're just trying to acquire property whenever they come available, and someday, whoever's sitting in these seats will have this ground and do something with it. Besides, as far as tax money, I think we did this before, we're probably only losing maybe $500-600 a year. Mr. Sloan, you know what the taxes are to the borough?
Well, at these values, it's not very much.
I mean, what could it be? Anybody have an idea?
$2,000 a year.
Not to the borough, I don't think.
Oh, okay, yeah, you're right, sorry.
I think it was about 500 to the borough and 300 to the county and about 1,000 to the school district. But then again, you don't have the school children, and I'm trying to think what...
We're not losing a lot of money, Tony, on
the
the...
average cost is per student to educate.
And the other thing is, if we feel we don't want to sell them, just put them all back on the market. I don't care. I'm just trying to do what this council set out to do 10 or 12 years ago.
And I'm not disagreeing.
But for you to say put a timeline, I don't know how you want us to do that.
Well, I thought about that before I said it, and I think when I say a time, like when you say that you're not forcing anybody out by doing what we're doing to those houses, boarding them up, stamping them, no trespassing, I mean, we're basically forcing them out by making the surrounding area terrible. You know what I mean? And that's a way of forcing out, but not saying that you have to go. But, who wants to live in a condition where every house next to you is boarded up? I'm sure there's probably going to be some type of rodent problem, but I don't like to just have problems. I don't like to just have problems, so I thought about it. And I said to myself, I would never be able to force anybody out either. But there is that ground across the street, right? If that ground across the street, why can't that be something that we sell, if we own that property, and then we start building houses and then kind of maybe beautifying that area a little bit and hopefully forcing people to come in there and take care of those other houses. Maybe that will motivate the 1 or 2 people that are still there. We give them a reasonable, way to stay on Elm Street. Now you're going to cross the street, we get to knock that side down. Now they got a beautiful view of
Tony, I'm confused, what are we forcing? To say that part again. So you're gonna sell the land behind there,
No,
build...
not behind it, in front of it. So in front of Elm Street, we have that used to be the other side of Elm Street before it burnt down.
Right.
Okay.
So if you sell it to somebody who is, going to buy the property, and I don't know what they could put there, they could put twins or how many houses they're able to...
Would you buy a twin across the street from the ones that are like all boarded up and stuff?
That's the problem, right? The problem is, would you...
No, that's
would
the
anybody-
idea. No, that's the idea.
Well, that's why, by boarding them up, how are these people going to be able
How do you
to
get
sell it? for
people
these
in?
That's the problem.
I don't know what the solution is. I mean, if you had, look, I'm open to suggestions. If you come up with a plan for that area right now, and it works, I don't have a problem with it, because I can tell you right now, sitting here, anybody ever thinks would be interested in purchasing that ground, forget about it, because I'm done.
What would be
You
the
could
future?
sell, you could give it to me, I don't want it. So I just think the borough is on the right track. We're making the right decisions. We're doing what we have to do, and a lot of the homes that were condemned on both streets, we're basically helping them out, because some of the people that were living there, they're very good people, had to deal with the people that these homes were run down and condemned. So it's a catch-22. I understand your position, but for us to say next year or 5 years from now, we're going to develop this site, maybe at some point this whole area becomes recreation. Maybe the fields go and football, maybe, who knows what you could do with this site. Maybe somebody is going to come in, but that's where you bring a planner in and you sit down and say, okay, this is the acreage we have, what can we do here? That's why even with the tennis courts and things like that, I'm always opposed to doing something there, because we don't know, we could make the wrong move, and then we screw up this whole, 10 acres, 20 acres, or whatever it is. That's why the school ground is not buildable ground, it's wetlands. So, that whole ordeal was a fiasco, thinking somebody's gonna build on them. You can't build on wetlands. So that was another, but the thing is, you acquire this ground, at some point, somebody sitting here is gonna say, you know what, let's bring a planner in, let's see what can be developed in this area. Is it mixed use of recreation, townhomes, single homes, commercial, light and, I don't know what it is. So I don't think anybody sitting here could make a decision today or put a time frame on, because I would never vote to purchase this home with a time frame that we have to do something. So I just trying to answer your question.
All right, no, I understand.
And if you want to give me the ground, I don't want it. So if you think I want to build homes in there,
No,
I'm just saying.
No,
I know it was
I
rumored
know,
that
believe
I'm
you.
buying Mill Run, I'm buying this. I could guarantee you today, sitting here, I'm not buying anything.
Well, I wasn't worried about it. I know you wanted to make money. I know you didn't want to buy that property.
I don't want anything.
But, I mean,
You think I want that property?
no, that's what I'm saying. I know, I mean, you
Oh.
would be interested in that property. That's what I mean, because I know you want to make money. But to me, I just think, I'm looking at it in the sense of having a plan, to kind of motivate.
Do you want to bring a planner in, like, right at the end of the year and start talking about it?
Yeah, I would like to do something. I'll take care of that and come up with some ideas, and then I'll bring it to the council.
What you need to do is get the total map of that area, and they figure how you can put streets in, and how you could utilize, and what you could do, and it's a whole process that might take you a year to come up with. So, I mean, somebody could just say, you know what, let's build over here. Well, that's not the way it works. When you see Toll Brother, these big companies come in and buy land, they have designers to say, this is what you could do. And I'm sure Kurt's here, am I right, Kurt? You guys could come in and take that acreage and say, you could do mixed use. There's so many different things you could do, but
To me personally, I would love to see that as a beautiful rec area that backs up to the.
understand, you need tax money.
Right, well, I mean, I would love to be able to, the way we're able to get grants and have writing grants, to get the docks and different things like that, I'm sure there's ones for rec. Because to me, I think that's how great the town looks and the things that we have going on. I think that there's not enough stuff for the kids, not just the smaller kids, for top lots. I'm talking about the bigger kids, you know what I mean? Kids that are playing basketball, being active, skateboard, something. These kids in the 10 to 18, 19 range, even kids up to 30, but they need stuff to do. So that's where I would have my head going into being a great rec area. So, I mean, that's all I have.
Robin?
Robin, can I just say one thing, because I gotta run
No,
out.
Betty, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
I've been recognized.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I just want to take the time to thank Joel Barrical. He went and gathered a bunch of Bristolians a couple weeks ago and had a cleanup at the basketball courts where they cleaned it up. They weed whacked and they did everything they could. I believe he even put money out to buy new nets for the basketball courts. And just being a resident of Bristol and seeing someone getting so involved in positive thinking that way, I just wanted to take the time to thank him because that was definitely something that we needed, and it was nice of him to volunteer and have all his volunteers, so I just wanted to thank him.
Okay.
Okay, I'm sorry, Robin. Robin, I gotta go.
I don't have anything now. I was gonna have something, but no, no.
Just a couple things. One is, I'm going to try to work out a schedule with the manager for budget meetings. Is there any night that's not good for anybody? So I could just schedule them whenever. Start scheduling.
Real quick, Mr. President, when do you expect to start this week, or?
No, probably after the next council meeting.
Okay.
We'll get through, I like to try to get it resolved by the end of November, because we got to pass it in December, if we can. The other thing is I want to start scheduling some meetings on inspections, what Betty's been asking all summer. I'll find out, I think a couple nights Mr. Pezza can't make it, so I'll find out what his schedule is. And I know Lorraine's going to be getting treatments on, I think, a Tuesday. So we'll see how that goes. Give it a week or two to see how she's feeling with that. That's all I basically have. Jim, what do you have?
Okay, in terms of items for possible council action, we do have that 1031 resolution, 1031 Elm Street. And there's a requested motion to advertise an ordinance to set a minimum fine of $100 for the various inspection and maintenance codes per the attached list. Basically, when John's been going into court, there is a minimum fine of $25. So in essence, we're raising that floor up to at least $100. So that's the recommendation to authorize a motion to advertise an ordinance to set the minimum fines at $100 for various inspection and maintenance codes. Also, the pier and day dock bids, attached is a copy of Gilmore's letter of 10-2 as well as Hudson's 10-2 letter. Also, in the letter from Gilmore, it states that council does not have to act on accepting or awarding the bid till, I'm looking for the letter now. I had it. December 11th, 2014. Also last week, there was an opportunity to apply for additional funding. Through the efforts of Kurt and Gilmore, we file an additional application for $600,000 worth of funding. We're not saying we're going to get it. It's through a state grant, but we would need a resolution for council to adopt at the next meeting. I'll have a copy of that proposed resolution in your packet, and I'd request that council adopts the resolution because this is one of the requirements of the application. Also, we received a letter from Congressman Fitzpatrick where basically he's saying that he would like to call a meeting of all the representatives that are involved in the project and see what everyone thinks and the best way to go. I can provide you with a copy of that letter at the end of the meeting. But basically, the bids came in above the budget by about $450,000. And as you know, in any construction project, if anything can go wrong, it'll go wrong. So we feel we need more than the $450 at this time if we're going to go with this low bid. But like I said, we did receive a letter from the congressman who has spearheaded this project. He's going to be out of the area for a while, but when he gets back, he wants to call a meeting of all the stakeholders.
How long do we have to reject the bids?
December 11th, December the 11th is the date that you have to act to approve or reject the bids.
And how many, Kurt, I mean, we can go to the podium, I got a couple questions. How many people received a bid packet for this project?
It got a lot of attention. It's hard to decipher how many general contractors looked at it to bid as a prime contractor. There were literally 30 or more, I think the list might even gotten up into the 40s, of interested entities.
So there was 30 or 40 interested people that were... The problem I think we're in right now is that there's so much work with this from Sandy that these dock builders and all these people are just, you know, picking and choosing. And this is a small job, $2.5 million, $3 million is not a big project today. When you're doing this stuff on the river and on, you know, down ashore and stuff like that. So, and only 2 people responded to the bids.
We only received 2 bids. ST Hudson provided a letter sort of outlining why they felt we only received the 2 bids. I think their opinion was we could have easily gotten 5 to 10 bids in a normal environment, but because of the tremendous amount of workload, they're saying that the union halls are absolutely empty. Everybody's out working. There's some very significant projects going on in Gloucester County, and Philadelphia Regional Port Authority's put out a lot of projects. Waste Management has a lot of projects. There's over $90 million worth of construction going on right now. So $2.5 million to us is a big deal, but to that industry, it's...
Do you think it's possible, and I don't know how this works, maybe, I think the congressman could call this meeting with everybody involved, the county, the state, the Fish and Game, or whoever. Do you think if the county and the state would guarantee this money, we wait, let this construction, or when they start these projects, they're years and years, I don't know. Maybe put this out to bid again next year, and maybe people are catching up on, I don't know.
Our agreement, I believe, is good through, I want to say 2016, maybe.
I mean, this is $500,000 over bid, and like the manager said, this thing could go another $500,000, where are we gonna get the money? So, I don't think anybody sitting here is gonna vote to do this project without guarantee funds.
Yeah, I think the one thing we have going for us is there's an unbelievable amount of support behind this project
Right.
at all levels. And so that's why we took a shot at this state grant program. It may not be the perfect fit for the grant, but it was an eligible project. And we're just hopeful that there's enough momentum behind it that it might get approved.
So we have time to work on this over the next month until December 15th, and then you're saying we could extend that bid?
I think we can. I have to review the contract language with Bill Salerno on whether or not we can extend the bid past that 90-day, but it says right in the bid documents, they have to hold the bid, and we have 90 days to review the bid.
I just think if the county and the state and Fish and Game or whoever is involved with giving us the money, we should ask them to make the decision on how we should proceed. I don't think we should tell them we want to rebid or tell them we want more money until they have input by saying, you know what, we're putting the money up. We want you guys to rebid the job, or we're putting the money up. Let's see if we could find more money to do the project. I think it's all in fairness to them, because the borough is benefiting through these docks. So I just think that if we can get a meeting, like the congressman said, with all these agencies, put, our cards on the table and say, how do you want us to proceed? And, whatever they want to do, let's agree. I mean, we'd be foolish not to. And if we rebid the project and it comes in the same thing, then they may say, you know what, you put it out twice, now this time you got 15 bidders, and the project's still at 2.5 million, well, we gotta go get you more money. Or we can't get you, I don't know. But I think for us to make a decision as a council on how you guys feel, that we'd be foolish to dictate how we should proceed without having them make the decision. I think in all fairness to the agencies that's given us the money. Does anybody agree or disagree, or?
I agree with you, Al. I mean, I think it's an important project to continue with.
But we need to have the money in place.
Right, exactly.
Well, obviously, none of us are willing to raise taxes for docks, but...
I'm saying if we can't pull the project off, then we give the money back and we move on. I mean, none of us are going to use taxpayers' money to build these docks. It's just not going to happen. We don't have it to do it. Although it's a great project for the borough, and that's why I said we need to get these agencies involved and let them, I think, me personally, I think it should be rebid and see if we get more interest in it, because people may catch up, going through the summer and winter, everybody's trying to get work done.
So do you think it's more the timing of the bid process than
I don't
perhaps
know.
the bid itself?
I mean, it could be the timing with all this docks out down into shore points, and like you said, the naval yard and waste management, there's not a guy left in the union hall to go to work with these.
They said it's just like monumental.
Right, everybody's roads
working.
being done all over the place, bridges being built, turnpikes being connected.
So we got caught up in some bad
It all ties in
timing.
together with these guys.
Yeah, I mean, the engineer's estimate, ST Hudson estimate for the job was was $2 million. I mean, that's what the construction costs were estimated as. And the bids came in at 2.445, and the next bid was within just about $16,000 of each other. So the bids were unbelievably tight. And so that makes me a little nervous that we're going to put it back out for bid and somehow see $400,000 shaved off the top. But, maybe it'll come out, maybe it'll come down if it's rebid. But, SD Hudson's saying that the industry's absolutely slammed with work and that they're large projects, long-term projects. And that's why we thought initially, our initial reaction was to go after more money and try to find more funds.
That may be the option, Kerr, I think if we're sitting there with the engineers, and I think this should be an entire council in the room, sitting around, I don't think it should be a committee, because it's going to affect the entire town. So I think we should call a council public meeting, bring the agencies in, and see how we're going to move forward with it. If that's the way they want it. If the agencies say, form a committee, we don't want to come in a public setting, well then we have, how they want us to proceed, I think we should follow their lead. Okay? Yeah, Mr. Dillon. Kurt, you have anything else? I'm sorry.
I have one question.
Yeah, Todd.
Kurt, I know the grants are very, very tight with the wording, so forth, so on. We have this money out there. Is there anywhere else we can move that money to? Instead of docks, maybe putting bulkhead up and extending Lions Park?
The county's grant program is more loosely written for waterfront along the Delaware. But the U.S. Fish and Wildlife grant, absolutely not. It's very, very specific. It's specific for transient boat docks, day docks, and it's specific for a minimum of 25 docks, slips, for boats 25 feet or larger. And we're right at that minimum. There's a lot of discussion, can we scale back the project? That's the minimum project that we can build under that grant program.
Anybody else have any questions for Kurt? Thanks, Kurt. Jim?
Also, on Wednesday at 3:30, we'll be opening bids for some handicap curb work along Wilson Avenue. So we will have the results of those bid openings in your packet, and hopefully we'll have a recommendation for you to act on
Excuse me, woman, I
Monday.
thought that we were doing the bids later, so Mr. Devine could make it.
What time is that?
3:30.
Yeah, no, that's good.
Is that good,
Yeah.
Tony? Because I know you want
That's
to
the
be-
time that we talked about.
All right, that's fine, I just don't want to, make sure you don't. Go ahead.
We have a request from Bristol Fire Company, Herb Slack, requesting a waiver of permit fees for their emergency generator. The fees is $254, I believe. 108 is for the inspection agency, and they said that they would waive their fee, and the rest would be the borough's fee. So it's a request to waive the fee.
I don't think that should be an agenda item,
Raising fees left and right around here.
but I think you should have the authority to waive a permit fee, but it's up to council. And it's something like that, I'm not talking thousands.
Well, in many ways, it's good to have it on the agenda.
that's
Because, somebody,
Questions you?
anyhow.
Your integrity? Honesty?
Next item is the casino grant application to the redevelopment authority. It was in your packet. I'd like to have further discussion with the RDA and may have a recommendation for you for the next public meeting. I think I'd just like to let it go at that till we had further discussion with the RDA as to the best way to handle that. But the item may be on your agenda on Monday for consideration. Also, we had a conference call from our Kroll Bond Rating Agency on September 24th. This was after supplying them with various financial documents, so we're waiting for their decision on the keeping the borough's bond rating as it is, or raising or lowering. But just want to mention that we should be getting that information in the next couple weeks. Also, the Nature Conservancy inspected the Bristol Marsh area, and The comment was that this person has been inspecting the marsh area for almost 14 years for the Nature Conservancy, and they've never seen it looking as good as it does, and certainly this is, some of the people that have helped out has been Don West, one of our Public Works guys, but I thought that was one positive comment that I could share with everybody today. And I believe the last thing I have, Angie and we've projected the year-end general fund account, so I have a copy of that for each of you tonight. You can take it if you have any questions during the week. Just shows you where we think we're heading come the end of the year, so that's all I have.
I mean, Mr. Dillon, if you're giving out these projected figures, I hope council really takes the time, and if you have questions, to call Angie, so when we do meet, you're not asking questions that could have been answered, 3 weeks ago. So you got from now until our first budget meeting to look at that, look at what you think should happen, get your questions answered, and if you don't like the answer, that's fine, but at least try to understand what you're doing before you come here and waste everybody's time for an hour or more asking a question about an item. So, I mean, it's everybody, Dave, besides you, been here going on 4 years now or more. So, I mean, we should know how to do a budget and what's going on. The other thing I have is I got a letter from the former president of Bristol Borough Little League, Tim Duger, who has notified us that he's stepping down as president to take a district board position, which is great. It's nice to have a guy from Bristol on a district board position. And the new manager of the new president of Little League will be Stacy Dragon. Some people may know her as Spadacino. Her family does a lot, been involved in Little League, her father for 50 years at least. So, I mean, it's a great family, a great girl to become president, and I think she'll do an outstanding job with Little League. So Timmy just wants to thank the entire council for his term as president, for all the help and support we gave him as a council. Anytime he needed anything, we were always there to help him and the kids out of Bristol. So we wish Tim luck in his new district board position, and Stacy luck as the new Little League president. Counselor, you have anything? No. Anybody else?
Motion to adjourn.
I have a second. Second by Mr. Devine.